Welcome back, everyone. It's still day one here at Fix 2024. I'm Alex Sigris with Aving News, and we are interviewing some of the most interesting people that we can find here, whether it's people who are working in the companies that are creating the innovations or the government offices around here, or the companies that are helping to support those other companies that are coming up with the technology. It's a mix of everything. The ecosystem is extremely fascinating, and to kind of understand more of that ecosystem, we're going to talk to someone who is representing a company that we talked to earlier today, actually, except we're looking at the Korea branch of Plug and Play. So let's go ahead and talk to Brandon Zhou. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex.
And you are the CEO of Plug and Play Korea.
Correct.
Okay, great. Can you introduce yourself a little more?
Sure. My name is Brandon Zhou. Korean name is Cho Yong-jun. Since I'm Korean, I do a lot of business here in Korea. So we are very closely with our startups, especially in Daegu as well. We accelerated 10 startups in the past year or so. And we've been working with the city very closely for the past 3 years. Since we work very closely with the startups, we don't just stop with the startups. We have a lot of corporate innovation partners. And also we work very closely with our government, also with Daegu City, in order to expose Daegu City's great startups to the global world. So we accelerate the startups here in Daegu, and then we expand the startups to go global as much as possible. And we actually took a couple of the startups to Silicon Valley, Singapore, Japan, and the list goes on.
Great. Okay, let's talk about, well, now that we're here, we're at Fix 2024. Daegu, what is Daegu's strength? You know, I know you have an office in Daegu, you have an office in Seoul, and you work with all companies around Korea. What is the strength of Daegu? What do they bring?
Sure. In the initial stage, when I first got in charge of the Daegu City overall, I was heard that mobility was the biggest industry that Daegu focused, and also manufacturing. So that was, I was thinking a little bit niche. But now, since I'm 3 years in, I see a lot of startups, I see a lot of companies. Now it's very broad, and I see a lot of companies that's very focused on AI, big data, blockchain, and the list goes on. And it's just so great to see these kind of startups and corporations evolve as we accelerate them, as we take this journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? Let's talk about Korea as a whole, since you are representing the Korean branch. What makes the Korean industry, and maybe specifically the Korean people, what is the strength that the Korean people bring that you kind of can then show off to the other parts of the world? Like, you need to invest in these companies, or when you send them out to different places like Silicon Valley or China or wherever, what do the Korean people have that makes them special?
Sure. So I mean, I studied in the States for 20 years, and I'm 100% Korean. I have a Korean passport. But what I just generally see in Koreans, even though I'm Korean, is everybody just pure smart. Yeah. Smart meaning just very diligent. They're very wise on if they need to pivot, they pivot very fast. And when I took our startups to Silicon Valley and gave them the opportunity to pitch on a bigger stage, not just a stage with Koreans, but with a lot of different diversities and so on, it's like when you, in the initial stages, you worry. But when you see them pitch, it gives you the assurance that I'm so glad that I'm Korean.
When your babies are growing up and you see them grow up, of course, absolutely.
Correct. So I mean, those kind of factors, they're very smart, and it's just now we have a Korean K-boom in every aspect for like every industry and so on. So it's a great timing of now the global world is appreciating Korea in general. So it gives them a little bit more advantage of that. Oh, I'm from Korea and I have these kind of technology, and when they represent themselves with their great products and great introductions of what they do, it just gives you that satisfying feeling as a director.
Yeah, well, you must be working with a lot of great companies. Obviously, those companies will be able to see some of them here. But one of the things I'm always impressed about with Korea is they will have a technology, and America will be pursuing a technology, and other countries around the world will be pursuing it. But Korea will be like the first to test it. They'll do autonomous driving like immediately to start testing phase. What are some of the companies that you're working with now that have got some really exciting ideas that are coming out, and they're starting to really put it out there. Just a couple of examples.
Sure. So there's a couple of companies that we invested in AI and also clinical checking devices and so on. Even we invested in one of the Daegu City startups that we accelerated in the past 6 months. So, what I see in the overall aspects of these kind of companies is they have the ability to adopt in a global market. They don't just focus on the domestic market, but they seek more potential in the global aspects, including North America, Asia, and also Europe as well. So when we accelerate these kind of startups, especially our portfolio companies and other great companies that we accelerated, it just gives you that fulfilling feeling.
Sure. Well, let's talk about the process maybe that you go through as well. So, I've never been a part of a startup acceleration program or anything like that. So I'm learning as well as we talk about it. When you work with a company, what is it that you find you add the most value to? And obviously, money is something that's easy to talk about, but are they just smart and they need the financial backing? Do they need the networking? Do they need a better business farm? What do you offer that really helps out?
Sure. So just to give you a general introduction on Plug and Play, is that we are a very early stage venture capitalist, meaning we invest in the companies that we see the potential. And like Google, PayPal, Dropbox is one of them. And we have 35 unicorns in our portfolio, meaning we have a proven record that we invest diligently into very early startups. So what we see in these startups when we invest is either if the startup CEOs has the capability or I would say the ability to execute in whatever their product that they want to expand in a global market. So for Plug and Play, since we're a global company, our main goal and my goal is to the whole Korean market is go global. That's our biggest strength. There's a lot of local accelerators here in Korea, but my main goal is for our Korean companies to go global and expand as much as possible, utilizing our network.
Well, certainly. And I think I see a lot of it in their eyes when they come up just to even do interviews. You see that passion to try and get out, to go global, to go beyond the Korean market. So it's certainly inspiring to be able to talk to them and to hear about it. Let's shift focus quickly to the actual Fix 2024. Let's talk about how it's been going. First, initial thoughts this year. How has it been for the first day?
Sure. So, for us, it was we joined this Fix event for the first time. Well, it is the first event, right?
And tell us a little bit more about that, because you have a big role in this exhibition.
Yes. So we actually did a global startup expo day for the first time here in Plug and Play, and also for Daegu City itself as well. So we brought up a lot of global corporation C-level people, including the president from New York Times, the CEO of Seragem, Intel EVP, and the list goes on. Jaguar as well. Yeah. And we brought a lot of global startups. We brought a lot of global VCs, global startups, VCs, and local VCs as well. Meaning we're creating that vibe for our local startups to go global, either to get connected through a global corporation or venture capitalist here in Korea, or get invested in the global market as well. So that's why we brought the global venture capitalists as well.
And certainly, day one was a big day. Is there anything else you're looking forward to for the next couple of days?
So for us, we're only participating for the first day. And we did a lot of our global startups, including our startups here in Korea, pitched in front of from a lot of our corporations and the venture capitalists. So today we're actually...
It's the main one.
Correct.
Those companies are still staying around, right?
Correct.
They're still going to be here.
Yes.
So, okay, I got it. So the main event is over, but obviously it's 3 days, going on till Friday.
Correct.
It's very important to, till... or Saturday? There's maybe a what do you call it? The local people can come in, maybe possibly. Is
Correct.
that what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you can still check them out, see some of these other companies. Okay, let's finish up.
And just for your information.
Sure, I need to learn still.
Yeah, for our startups, we don't just stop here. It's like if anybody's interested into our startups, just give us a contact. We will connect you through the appropriate, either the university, corporation, or venture capital, or whatever is possible.
That's what I meant to ask. So before we go and end this here, I'm a company, let's pretend, or I'm working for a company. You know, how do you...
Is it a startup or...
Let's pretend it's a startup.
Sure.
Yeah, it's an early stage startup. How does it work? Do I look for you? Do you look for me? Is it both? How do people get connected with you?
Sure. Yes, number one, since I go to a lot of events, either meeting casually, that's number one. Number two is under either you are in a appropriate program, meaning Daegu City had opened up a couple of programs that we participated in. So that's when we select the appropriate startups that can go global. It's not like we can take everybody, right?
Sure.
They have to have the prerequisite courses, or if they're capable or not. So that's when we select our selective startups who has that potential.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything we missed that you'd like to say before we go, or anything you'd like to say to people out there who might be interested in this, in maybe some venture capitalism or going global or meeting some of your companies?
Sure. So Plug and Play is not just focused in the startup ecosystem, but it includes the corporations as well, because corporations need to innovate. And in order for them to innovate, they need startups. And that's where Plug and Play comes in. And also, in order for all this big wheel to operate, that's where the government comes in. So, and we take a big role globally, working very closely with the governments, corporations, and startups. So whenever anybody needs help, either from startups, corporations, or governments, come to us, we will help you.
Okay, I lied. I have one more question.
Sure.
Because this is just on a personal level, I'm extremely curious about this one. I know that in Korea, at a lot of the big companies, a lot of big company workers will maybe drop out and create their own company. Do you see a lot of that where, like, let's say someone from an electronics company drops out, creates a company, do they end up like kind of recycling back into those companies? Because you mentioned something about big companies need startups, but a lot of startups are run by people that used to work for these big companies as well. Is that something you see often? Like,
sure. I come from a background, I worked at Samsung Electronics for almost 10 years, and Samsung has a separate division called Samsung C Lab.
That's correct, yes.
There's inside and outside. Outside meaning sourcing from the outside world, inside meaning from the inside within Samsung Electronics. So yes, from a corporation perspective, they do work very diligently, try to innovate as much as possible. And once these people get out from either Samsung and go to the Amazon market, it's their role. Now they're independent. Yes, there are cases working very closely with Samsung, or there are cases working with other global corporations as well. But as mentioned, since we take a big role in helping these startups or either corporations out, we make those dots connected together. We are that middle guys who makes everything work, making all that puzzles.
That's exactly what I was curious about, and your role in that. So thank you for answering that question, as well as all the other questions that I had. Some were for everyone and some were for me. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and having an interview with us.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Yes, and good luck with the rest of today, and hopefully I'll see you around.
Thank you.
Thank you.